Yeah, just was motivated to shoot this quick video. Do what I can to make it quick. Just as something I've observed and how, I've been a loner pretty much my whole life. And then this whole COVID situation is kind of, I guess I want to say, brought it home almost even more why I'm a loner or have been, even though I'm an extrovert in so many ways. And I definitely like being amongst people that are just good, down to earth people that are just people you connect with. And I just don't. Most of these people, I just have nothing in common with. Even thinking back to growing up in Detroit, and a lot of those folks, I just nothing against them, but there's no connection. I'm into stuff that's kind of boring. I like to read. I like to watch videos on economics. I like to research things about health and wellness. I like to research things about what works in relationships and why are things the way that they are. I'm a history buff. And most of the people I've been around don't seem to care about that stuff. So it's like this whole COVID time has just kind of brought it back into focus in a way where it was always there. I never really fit in most of the environments that I was in. And no disrespect to a lot of the folks that are out there, but I'm like, this just kind of further confirms why I didn't want to be around most of those people. A lot of the things that I'm seeing in society, the divisiveness, the just I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm very opinionated. I hate wearing a mask, right? Based on the research I've done and the people that I follow that I know are credible. Um, and that goes to a whole nother level with that. But even like, I've been studying a lot about the Constitution and I've been studying more about law. And one of the things that in learning it has just been a revelation, and I've kind of known this for some time, is how Um, there's this one guy that's successfully defended himself again in court, and helped other people to win their cases without paying a lawyer, a traditional lawyer. And one of the things he talked about in one of the Zoom webinars I listened to recently was about the United States Constitution. The original Constitution, let's move that off the screen. The original Constitution said, and I got my book here. It said the Constitution for the United States of America. The current one says the Constitution of the United States of America. And this has the Declaration of Independence in there as well. That little subtle wordplay and finding that out and watching that webinar and him talking about how America is like the last bastion of freedom in the world, what's left of it. Um, and how essentially when it was structured as and when it was written as the Constitution for the United States of America, that meant it represented us, we the people. It was for us, it was for our benefit, it was for our protection. When they changed it, the social engineers, as I like to call them, what people call the Illuminati or the ruling classes, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, DuPonts, whatever. And apparently the British had a lot to do with that, as America was really becoming and really had become kind of a free nation based on a lot of things that were created by the founding fathers. Now, I ain't saying the founding fathers were like holier than thou, because they had some shady stuff in their background too. But those documents are brilliant. And that Constitution was actually for us, the people of the United States. When they changed the wording in that document, that meant that when presidents take their oath, they're actually pledging their loyalty, for lack of a better way of saying it. And I can go back to the lecture where he breaks it all down and actually have the quote in there. They're actually pledging, essentially, you could almost say their allegiance to work for the corporations of America, not for the people. You know what I'm saying? And the point I'm really speaking to is the fact that ignorance is a choice. And as they say, ignorance of the law is no excuse. You could even take it to another level and say ignorance of the Constitution um, and the documents thereof, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, etc., is a choice. And unfortunately, most people are willingly choosing to be ignorant. I was ignorant most of my life about the Constitution, had no idea really about it at all, didn't care to know. And as I just got into more of a space of reading and researching and studying, I'm like, wow, this stuff is fascinating. And I personally make the assertion that for Black people, we need to know this more than anybody, especially when you're talking about law and like common law, and not just, and just law in general. We need to know that more so than anybody else, because again, as the saying goes, ignorance of the law is no excuse. And, but it's like, there's a saying by Earl Nightingale, and I'm gonna end this, here pretty soon, where he says in The Strangest Secret, great audiobook if you're on that path to really reprogramming your mind to having abundance and having a life that you really dream about having, which I still believe that is entirely possible. He says people are where they are because that's where they want to be, whether they will admit to it or not. And I remember when I first heard that, I was like, man, fuck that. That's bullshit. I don't subscribe to that. No, he's right. Because when I really look back on it at that time and the situations that I was in that were less than favorable, if I really wanted to get out of it, if I was hungry enough to make some difference, choices and changes, I would have done so. But I didn't because I was comfortable wallowing in it, being in a victimhood mentality. And as you start to learn and progress, there becomes a separation between you and some of the people around you. And sometimes those are family members, sometimes those are friends. And it's nothing personal against them. It's just that you may not be into the same things that they're into anymore. You may not be into the club. You may not be into going out and getting drunk. No, I'm gonna stay home and I'm gonna work on my business. I'm gonna stay home and I'm gonna read some books. I'm gonna stay home and I'm gonna watch some documentary with my lady or with my children or whatever. And I think personally, that's a large part of why America is in a position that it's in now is because we, the people, have lost our way and we don't read and we don't research and we don't question anything. We don't study. And when you don't do that, you lay the foundation for those that are in power to just constantly take more and more of your rights to where you don't have them anymore. So being quarantined is definitely far from being something that's pleasant. And at the same time, I'm used to it because most of my young life, that's what I did, largely because I was dealing with skin issues and all that, which is another story. Um, but yeah, I mean, just find your lane, I guess, is get the best part of this and what I would end it with. And find your tribe. And furthermore, choose your tribe wisely because the division that I have seen, even in my own space with some of the people that I've known for some years, has not been shocking per se, but it's definitely been revealing to where I'm just like, wow. And these are people that are blood relatives or they're maybe friends that I've had for some time. But people are where they are. And as a friend of mine said to me, people are people. So in the truest sense, even with, coworkers and things like that, um, I do what I can to be respectful of where people are, and I'm doing what I can to just mind my own doggone business and get more of the life that I want for myself. So get more of the life that you want for yourself. Have a relationship with your creator, with God, the most high, at any time, especially in these times, because we all need it. This is going to be a very interesting year and challenging for a lot of people. People thought 2020 was challenging, but 2021, based on what they've been doing to the economy and propping up the economy with all of this money that's just being printed out of nowhere and people aren't working. And, there's been disruptions in the supply chain when it comes to the products and services getting into the stores when people can actually get to the stores. It it's more to come. And at the same time, remain hopeful. Stay focused on your relationship with your creator, with God, and just give thanks. Be in a spirit of gratitude. And that in and of itself creates a shift. And also, one of the things I've been taking on with some friends of mine, and it just made me think about Bob Proctor, the motivational speaker, talking about how he reads something from Think and Grow Rich every day. Basically, the way he says it is like that book is his Bible. And it keeps him present to who he is and his contribution to the world. Well, the book that I'm listening to, and well, yeah, audiobook is called The Science of Getting Rich with a couple friends of mine. Check out that book. It's on YouTube. You can listen to the whole thing. Listen to it religiously, faithfully, and just know that no matter what's going on in the world, you can still have, your heaven on earth. So stay encouraged, whether you are extrovert, whether you're a loner, whether pro-mask, anti-mask, if you Democrat, Republican, if you pro-vaccine, if you anti-vaccine, it's just people and choices. And the one big elephant in the room that nobody really talks about is soul contracts. We all sign soul contracts before we come here. And people's contracts are just playing themselves out the way that they chose to have those contracts written before we incarnated in this fleshly body, myself included. So, stay faithful, stay joyful, laugh, reach out to the people that you do love and care about and connect with, and just build rapport and spread love to everybody, even your enemies. As how did Christ said, forgive them for they know not what they do. Or the other way it was said was loving your enemies, right? And I know that can be a challenge sometimes because I've seen some shady stuff in this last year and it was directed at me. And I'm just like, wow. And at the same time, I just stay focused on God and my relationship with God. Meditate, pray, get out in nature, do things to help you to stay grounded and stay hopeful and stay in communication with people that you really do have those genuine connections with and where you hold each other to account on fulfilling on what you're committed to creating in the world. So take care of yourselves, folks. Be well. Peace and love.